Not yet published.
Okay.
Sorry.
Değerli meslektaşlarımız, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Biz bir hafta sürecek Conceptualizing Metaphors in the Margin of Charles Sanders Peirce konulu seminere bugün başlıyoruz. Tabii bu seminerler dizisi kendi içinde bazı ağırlıkları içeriyor. Bir kere Charles Peirce'ü anlamak çok zor. Yani şu ana kadar 80.000 sayfa el yazma metinler var ve bu metinler üzerine dünyada çalışmalar devam ediyor. Örneğin Indiana Üniversitesi'nde 1960'tan beri Charles Peirce el yazmaların yayınlanma süreci devam ediyor.
Bunlar nerede Mustafa yazmalar?
Indiana Üniversitesi'nde.
Hepsi.
Amerika'da tabii. Bir de yine Charles Peirce ile ilgili diğer bir çalışmada İspanya'da Navarra Üniversitesi'nde Jaime Nubiola ve ekibi tarafından Charles Peirce'ün mektupları yayınlanıyor edisyon kritikli olarak. Ben edisyon kritikli yayının nasıl yapıldığını orada gördüm. Oradan da o mektuplardan 5 tanesi de Türkiye ile ilgili o mektuplar. Charles Peirce 1871 yılında Türkiye'ye gelmiş. Türkiye'de Rusçuk'tan giriş yapmış. Rusçuk, Şumlu, Varna yoluyla İstanbul'da 10-15 gün kalmış. İstanbul'dan Çanakkale, Kavala, Selanik, Volos ve Atina yoluyla tekrar İtalya'ya geçmiş ve oradan da Amerika'ya geçmiş. Yani doğrudan bizimle ilgili. Tabii 19. yüzyıl çok renkli bir yüzyıl. Pek çok büyük bilim adamı yetişti 19. yüzyılda. Pek çok büyük alim yetişti. Bilimde büyük temeller atıldı. Büyük buluşlar yapıldı. Büyük önemli kilometre taşları 19. yüzyılda yaşandı. Büyük filozoflar büyük ölçüde 19. yüzyılda yetişti. İşte bunlardan biri de Charles Peirce. Biz Charles Peirce'ü tanımıyoruz diye biliyordum ben. Ben son birkaç yılda öğrenmeye başladım Charles Peirce'ü. Sonra Ivan MLADENOV'la tanıştıktan sonra Sozopol'da Charles Peirce'le ilgilenmeye başladım. Ve Charles Peirce'le ilgili bilgi notları öğrenmeye başladım ufak tefek. Önce İngilizce kaynaklardan, mektuplardan ve Ivan MLADENOV'un konuşmalarından, sunumlarından, bildirilerinden Charles Peirce'le ilgili bazı şeyler öğrenmeye çalıştım. Bu arada son zamanlarda kendim Yeni Türk Edebiyatı araştırmacısı olduğum için Yeni Türk Edebiyatı'nın temel metinlerini yeniden okumaya başladım. Charles Peirce'ün bizim kültür tarihimizde bilinen tarafı var mı yok mu diye araştırmaya başladım. Bu araştırmalarda öğrendim ki aynı zamanda Charles Peirce pragmatist felsefenin 3 kurucusundan biri ve en önemli kurucusu. Diğerleri William James, belki William James'i bilmiyor olabilirsiniz ama bir üçüncüsü de John Dewey. John Dewey'i Türkiye'de hemen hemen liseyi bitiren herkes bilir şu şekilde, şu veya bu şekilde. Çünkü Türk eğitim tarihinde John Dewey'in önemli bir yeri var. Hem William James'i aslında doktora yaparken duymuştum. Özellikle İzmir Halk Evi dergilerini araştırırken o dergilerde William James'in pek çok makalesini yayınlandığını duydum. Yine 1926'da çıkan Hayat Mecmuası'nda da John Dewey ve William James ile ilgili pek çok yazıya rastladığımı hatırladım. Türkiye'de bu arada Ziya Gökalp projemiz vardı. Ziya Gökalp'in eserleri neşir projesi. Burada da yine bunlarla ilgili bazı ufak tefek ipuçlarına rastladım. Ve öğrendim ki, anladım ki pragmatist felsefe Türkiye'de oldukça etkili bir felsefi anlayış. Özellikle modern Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kuruluş sürecinde oldukça etkili bir anlayış, felsefe. Ama pragmatizm evet böyle bir anlayış ama semiotikle ilgili bir şey yok. Bir bilgi kırıntısı yoktu bizde. Bu çalışmalardan sonra Charles Peirce'ü okuduğum metinlerde tekrar kontrol etmeye başladım. İlginçtir ki fark ettim ki Charles Peirce'ü bizim felsefecilerimiz biliyor. Ama onların bildiğini biz bilmiyormuşuz. Mesela kimler biliyor? Hilmi Ziya Ülken biliyor. Merhum Rıza Filizok hocam benim önüme, onun odasına ilk gittiğimde ondan otururken önüme Hilmi Ziya Ülken'in Türkiye Çağdaş Tarihi kitabını koydu. Bu kitabı okuyabildiğin kadar defalarca oku dedi. Ben Hilmi Ziya Ülken'i o zaman okudum ama Hilmi Ziya Ülken Charles Peirce'den söz ediyormuş. Ben fark etmemişim. Öyle bir cümle içinde geçiyor. İşte pragmatizmin kurucusu Charles Peirce var. Daha sonraki okumalarımda fark ediyorum bunu. Hilmi Ziya Ülken gayet iyi biliyor Charles Peirce'ü. Türk Felsefe Cemiyeti'nin kurucularındandır bu arada Hilmi Ziya Ülken. Daha sonra Mehmet İzzet. Türkiye'de hem fenomenolojiyi biliyor hem Charles Peirce'ü biliyor. Bu şeyde işte Hayat Mecmuası'nı çıkarmışlar birlikte. Mehmet Emin Erişirgil, bunu da duymuşsunuzdur muhtemelen. Bu da biliyor Charles Peirce'ü. Yani Türkiye'nin kuruluş sürecinde Charles Peirce bir pragmatist olarak biliniyor. Fakat daha sonra öğreniyoruz ki Charles Peirce modern gösterge bilimin iki kurucusundan biriymiş. Bunlardan birisi Saussure, Ferdinand Saussure, diğeri Charles Peirce. Saussure gösterge bilimi Türkiye'de çözüldü. 1986'da Berke Vardar'ın Saussure'un genel bilim derslerini Türkçe'ye çevirisinden sonra herkes bir şekilde Saussure'u okudu, okumaya başladı. Özellikle filologların çabalarıyla Saussure Türkiye'de epeyce tanındı. Saussure'un gösterge bilimi tanındı. Yapısalcı gösterge bilimi tanındı. Fakat yapısalcılık 1970'li 80'li yıllardan itibaren dünyada eleştirilmeye başlandı. Burada bir problem var. Sonra öğrendik ki gösterge biliminin bir kurucusu Saussure'muş. Bir diğer kurucusu da Charles Peirce'miş. Ve ben Selanik'te bir kongreye gittim. Uluslararası Gösterge Bilim Kongresi'ne. Dinleyici olarak gittim. 10 gün kaldım Selanik'te Makedonya Üniversitesi'nde ve Aristos Üniversitesi'nde ortaklaşa düzenliyorlardı. 10 gün kaldım. Bu kongrelerde hemen hemen 3 bildiriden birisi Charles Peirce ile ilgiliydi. Dedim bu işte bir mesele var dedim. Sonra Varşova Kongresi'nde yine gittik. Charles Peirce ile ilgili epeyce bildiriler vardı. Yani Charles Peirce semiotiği, gösterge bilimi ve pragmatizm ve Charles Peirce'in felsefesi dünyada şu anda üzerinde en çok tartışılan konulardan biri. Ve farklı. Şöyle farklı. Saussure düşünce sistemi dualist. Yani ikili bir düşünce sistemi. Gösteren, gösterilene dayalı. O da Kant'ın bilgi felsefesine dayanıyor. Kavramsal bilgi ve estetik bilgi olmak üzere ayırdı. İkili bilgi teorisine dayanıyor. Saussure'un gösterge bilimi. Ardından bu edebiyata uyarlanmış, dil bilimi uyarlanmış, diğer alanlara uyarlanmış ve büyük ölçüde çözüldü. Şu anda Fransızlar, işte buraya 2 sene önce gelen Jacques Fontane ve ekibi başta olmak üzere Saussure gösterge bilimini söylem analizde olmak üzere epeyce ilerlettiler. Yani o konuda bizim aslında yapabileceğimiz fazla bir şey yok ve bizi de fazla hitap etmiyor ve fazla da mekanik Saussure gösterge bilimi. Ama bizim bir dikkat ederseniz bir belagat geleneğimiz var. Bu belagatın alanlarından biri de fesahat. İşte Saussure gösterge biliminde bu yok. Fesahat yok. İşte Charles Peirce burada bize bir ufuk açıyor. Fesahatı da içine katan üçlü bir semiotik anlayışı var. Triadik bir semiotik anlayışı var Charles Peirce'ın benim anladığım kadarıyla. Ve bunlar üzerine bu pek çok yeni terim ortaya atmış Charles Peirce. Hem pragmatik hem felsefeyle ilgili hem mantıkla ilgili hem tabii başta semiotikle ilgili pek çok yeni terim. Bu terimleri anlamak çok zor. Ivan MLADENOV'un deyimiyle Charles Peirce şu anda dünyanın en zor, en anlaşılması en ağır olan filozoflarından birisi. Ve sosyal bilimlerde öncü filozof, çığır açan filozoflardan birisi, semiotikçilerden birisi. Ve biz onu anlama çabasına gireceğiz. Onu anlamaya çalışacağız. Peki nasıl anlayacağız? Bunu okuyarak anlamak çok zor. Bazen birisi sizin kendi çabanızla gitmekte zorlandığınız bir yere çok rahat bir şekilde elinizden tutup bir yere götürüveriyor. Çok rahat bir şekilde götürebiliyor sizi. İşte bize böyle bir rehber lazımdı. Böyle bize burada Charles Peirce'ü bize tanıtacak, bize anlatacak ve Charles Peirce'ün düşüncesini, semiotiğini ve bu bize anlatacak bir rehbere ihtiyacımız vardı. Ben öyle düşündüm en azından. Bu rehber kim olabilirdi?
Bunu söylerken zaten o metaforu yaptınız.
Evet, işte bir rehbere ihtiyacımız vardı. Ve ben tesadüfen, artık tesadüf, onu başka tevafuk diyorlar. Sozopol'da Ivan MLADENOV'la tanıştım. Ivan MLADENOV bizzat kendisi geldi, bana bir çay getirdi. orada. Benim Türkiye'den geldiğimi öğrenince kahve getirdi. Buyur bir kahve içelim dedi. Siz Türkiye'den geldiniz dedi. Hiç Türkiye'ye gelmemiş kendisi ama Türk bilim adamlarının Türkiye hakkında bilgisi var. Geldi, beraber çay içtik, sohbet ettik, çalıştık. Hoca ile iletişimimiz o andan itibaren başladı. Ve öğrendim ki hoca dünyada Charles Peirce araştırmacılarının en önde gelenlerinden. Yani kendisi yaptığımız araştırmada, konuşmalarımızda, çalışmalarımızla beraber öğrendim ki MLADENOV 50 yıllık bir hoca şu anda. 70 yaşının üzerinde 50 yıldır hocalık yapıyor. Ve bu hocalığı nerelerde yapıyor? Tabii Bulgaristan Bilimler Akademisi'nin en muteber, itibarlı öğretim üyelerinden birisi. Bulgaristan Bilimler Akademisi Edebiyat Enstitüsü'nün. Şu anda emeritus profesör orada. Kendisi Indiana Üniversitesi Bloomington'da yıllarca çalışmış. Orada Charles Peirce araştırmalar yapmış ve ders vermiş. Sonra Almanya'da Berlin Humboldt Üniversitesi'nde uzun yıllar Charles Peirce dersleri vermiş. Sonra Helsinki Üniversitesi'nde bu konuda dersler vermiş ve çalışmaları var. Sonra yine Almanya'da Darmstadt Üniversitesi, Teknoloji Üniversitesi'nde uzun yıllar çalışmış. Yani dün söyledi ya Bulgaristan'da çok az kaldım hep. Oralarda çalıştım dedi. Dünyanın farklı üniversitesinde Charles Peirce ile ilgili buyurun dersler vermiş. Biz de istedik ki Charles Peirce'ü öğrenelim. Niye öğrenelim? Çünkü Türk düşünce sistemi triadik bir sistem, üçlü bir sistem. Ve İbn Sina Farabi geleneği bu üçlü sisteme dayanıyor. Ve biz bunu unuttuk. Aziz Sancar'dan duymuşsunuzdur belki. 500 yıldır Türkiye'de bilim üretilmiyor dedi. Bu doğruydu. Doğru yani. Aziz Sancar böyle diyor. Bu doğru. Mehmet Kaplan da bir yazısında maalesef bir felsefe geleneğimiz yok der. Bu da doğru. 500 yıldır da bilim üretemediğimiz de doğru. Yani bir karanlık çağa girdik bir bakıma. Neden öğretemedik? Çünkü İbn Sina Farabi mantık geleneğiyle bağımız koptu. Bu bağı yeniden tesis etmek gerekiyor. Peki nasıl edeceğiz? Doğrudan şimdi İbn Sina Farabi'ye inmeye kalsak anlayamıyoruz. Zorlanıyoruz. Ne demek istediğini fark edemiyoruz. Aradan 500 yıl geçmiş. Ama Avrupalılar bu bağı korumuşlar. Mesela Charles Peirce'le ilgili değerlendirmede de öyle diyor bir Amerikalı Robert Indis. Charles Peirce Orta Çağ metinlerini iyi okumuş. Bu metinleri bir akıl süzgecinden geçirmiş ve bunu modern çağa aktarmış diyor. Sonra dün yine birkaç gündür Ivan Miladenov'un slaytlarını çevirirken gördüm. Charles Peirce'ün üçlü düşüncesinin yani semiotiğinin temelinde bu antik Yunan felsefesinin üçlü sistemi var. Üçlü düşünce sistemi var. Sofistlerin düşünce sistemine dayanıyor. Onları okumuş. Onları modernize etmiş ve bizim nesillerin anlayabileceği seviyeye getirmiş. İşte biz bunları anlamaya çalışmaya karar verdik. Bu kararımız neticesinde bu kararımızı Sayın Miladenov'a söyledik. Dedik ki ya biz 3-5 arkadaşız. Bize Charles Peirce'ün semiotiğini, terminolojisini, felsefesini bize anlatabilir misin dedik. Kendisi Charles Peirce'ü dünyanın her tarafında anlatmış. Dedi anlattım, anlatırım dedi. Yani bu fedakarlığı yaptı. Bizden hiçbir şey beklemedi. Hiçbir şey beklemeden sadece bir davetim üzerine Bulgaristan'dan buraya geldi. Ve 4 gün boyunca bize mantık, felsefe, semiotik üçgeninde Charles Peirce'ün düşünce sistemini anlatacak. Tabii anlatacak ama burada bir problem var. En önemli problem ne? Dil problemi. Yani çoğumuz İngilizce şu veya bu şekilde biliyoruz. Çoğumuz çok ağır sınavlardan geçtik. Ama bu sınavlarda elde ettiğimiz bilgileri hiçbir zaman kullanmadık. Sınavları geçtik, dilimizi unuttuk. Ezberlediğimiz kelimeleri unuttuk, ezberlediğimiz grameri unuttuk. Neden? Çünkü kullanmadık. Biz salak değiliz, biz aptal değiliz. Pekala biz İngilizce konuşabiliriz. Ama konuşamadık. Niye? Çünkü kullanmadık. Beyin otomatik olarak tembelliğe meyillidir ve geri atar bilgileri. Attı. Ben şu anda burada Profesör Hülya Savran hocamız var. Çok ağır bir İngilizce sınavından geçti. Ben İngilizce bildiğini gayet iyi biliyorum hocam. Kelime haznesinin çok iyi olduğunu biliyorum. Ama hoca kullanmadı ki bunları. Kullanmayınca unuttu. Unutunca konuşamadı. Ama bu konuşma bu hepimiz için geçerli. Hülya Hanım için değil, hepimiz için geçerli. Benim için de geçerli. Bize dediler ki ya gramer kurallarına uyarak konuşun. Ya Türkçeyi konuşurken biz gramer kurallarına mı uyuyoruz? Dilci arkadaşlarımız var bizim. Hiçbir gramer kuralına uymuyoruz. Konuşuyoruz işte. Aslında İngilizce de böyle. Ama bizi korkuttular. Konuşamadık biz, cesaret edemedik. Ve konuşulanları da anlayamadık. Çünkü konuşmayınca anlayamıyorsun da. Burada problem var. Bu problemi Ivan MLADENOV 50 yıllık tecrübesiyle aşmaya çalışacak. Bütün sorumluluğu ona yükledi. Yavaş yavaş anlatacak. Terimleri buraya yazacak, yazarak açıklayacak. Yani 5 yaşındaki çocuğun anlayabileceği bir dille bize bu konuda ağır konuları hoca büyük bir fedakarlıkla anlatacak. Bu meseleyi buradan çözeceğiz. İkinci zorluğumuz Charles Peirce'ün terminolojisi ağır. Bu ağır terminolojiyi nasıl anlatacak? Vallahi o da onun tecrübesi, o da zor. Üçüncü sorunumuz Ivan MLADENOV'un kendine has bir terminolojisi var. Bir dili var. Metaforik bir dili var. Yani çünkü metaforlarla biz iletişim kuruyoruz. Metaforlar yaratmak demek, üretmek demek, düşünce üretmek demek. Düşünce bu şekilde üretiliyor. Onun böyle bir üretimsel gücü var. Onları da anlamak zor. Bunları hep birlikte bir hafta boyunca onu dinleyerek anlamaya çalışacağız. Her şeyi anlamamız mümkün değil. Her şeyi anlayamayacağız. Anlayabildiğimiz kadarını anlayamayacağız. Kimimiz %10'unu, kimimiz %20'sini, kimimiz %30'unu, kimimiz %50'sini anlayacağız. Ama anlayabildiğimiz kadar. Bu yüzden ben böyle bir yaz gününde denize gitmek yerine, yatmak yerine, sağda solda gezinmek yerine buraya gelme zahmetine bulunduğunuz için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Bu arada bu konferanslar Sayın Rektörümüz Profesör Yücel Uğurlu'nun talimatıyla üniversitenin sayfasında, üniversitemizin YouTube sayfasında canlı olarak yayınlanacak. Dünyadan çünkü dinlemek isteyenler oldu. Türkiye üniversitelerini dinlemek isteyenler oldu. Rektöre baskı yapıldı. Mesajlar yazıldı rektöre. Rektör duymuş, talimat verdi ve bu konferans yayınlanıyor. Bu yüzden üniversitemizin basın dairesinin ekibine çok teşekkür ediyorum ben. Rektörümüze, dekanımıza çok teşekkür ediyorum. Buraları bize tahsis ettiler. En çok da Sayın MLADENOV buraya geldi ve aramıza katıldığına teşekkür ediyorum. Ve daha fazla uzatmadan ilk seminerini vermek üzere kategoriler üzerine, yani kategorik düşünce nasıl olur, düşünce nasıl gelişir, bunun üzerine Peirce'da kategoriler, Aristo'dan itibaren kategoriler nasıl oluşturulmuş, sınıflandırmalar nasıl yapılmış, nasıl kategorizasyon oluşmuş, bunları anlatacak bugün. Seminerler sabahtan ve öğleden sonra olmak üzere 70-75'er dakika sürecek. Ve ilk seminerini vermek üzere Sayın Ivan MLADENOV'u davet ediyorum. Please come invite you, Excellence.
Are you inviting me here?
Microphone is yours, please. Whenever you were, you can speak.
First, thank you to everybody of you who have come here to listen to this seminar. Thank you very much. And thank you to my friend Mustafa. I simply forgot that I have to talk. I was thinking that I'm here to listen only. And I almost would like to go because he said everything. Strangely enough, I understood almost the general thing Mustafa had said. He said how we got to know in Suzopu 3 years ago. And he then explained something from Charles Peirce, which is very nice. And I would like also to say some words about how Mustafa and I met. We met in Suzopu, and I shared to him that Charles Peirce was not simply a next interesting philosopher, but Charles Peirce is interested in Turkey for the Turks. He has made during his life altogether 5 trips to Europe, from America to Europe. The first trip was to Constantinople or Istanbul. The first trip. And this first trip of Charles Peirce influenced his entire thought, his entire philosophy. There were very many philosophers today who were writing about this first trip, and they tried to see why it was so important, this first trip. First, it was first. That's important. And secondly, this was a young man about to become 30 years old, and he went for the first time to Istanbul, and everything impresses him. All this impression develop further. And when we say now Charles Peirce's metaphors, we may be certain that many of these impressions turn into metaphors and into way Charles Peirce has reasoned afterwards. Charles Peirce's thought. So thanks to Mustafa, I now have the context of what I'm going to tell you. But first and foremost, you're going to wonder why Charles Peirce? Why should I understand or hear or listen or read Charles Peirce? Why not some other philosopher? Why not Hegel? Georg Hegel? Why not Immanuel Kant? Why not Umberto Eco from today's philosopher? Derrida, Foucault. Why Charles Peirce? Why? This is my first question to everybody of you. Are you here? Can you hear me from here? No?
Yes.
No? Or you yes, but you at the last row? Okay. This is easy. Then I don't like to be like a boss of everybody, so I go down. Why Peirce? Why? And then you can see that there is a term, holistic. What is holistic? Can we have it a little bit? It will be, you are so few people that it will be very informal talk. And here is the family of Mustafa, Rehan, Tuna. I feel almost like a family party. So I'll be very informal. What is holistic? Holistic. Charles Peirce is calling. I know. So what is holistic philosophy? Holistic means that this guy has a theory about everything in the life, cosmos, from the smallest detail to the entire space, to the stars, to the moon, to any planets. This is holistic, from the whole, a holistic philosopher. So I'm starting now to answer why it is worthy to study Charles Peirce's philosophy. First, because he was a holistic philosopher, meaning if we learn his philosophy, we should learn a lot about everything. And he was the last one, probably. As you see, he lived in the 19th century, 1839, and he died in 1914. We have to be very careful when we talk about the time he lived, because now we know much more than before. But the terms, the terminology, everything now is different. So I will try, one of my tasks today is to control your attention to go to the historical truth as well, not only what is all together. So if we study Charles Peirce because he is a holistic philosopher, we will understand almost everything about the knowledge from his time. And what was his time important for? His time was a very dynamic time. The science developed very fast. This was the time of Edison, the inventor. You know, he invented the bulbs, he invented the gramophone. We owe to Edison all this invention we are using now. And Charles Peirce was also an inventor, but not in such master. Anyway, this is one of the reasons. He was a holistic philosopher. Next, he was the first philosopher who used as his main tool in his philosophy not something else, but something which we call sign. His philosophy is based on sign. Based on sign, which is very, very important. It makes a big difference. Before him, Aristotle, then all the scholastic philosophers, then Kant, then Hegel, all of them were using categories, not using signs. And signs are the biggest novelty which Charles Peirce brought to life. Why? Why? Simply because the sign is a compound between something material and something immaterial. We will talk about sign later on, but I'm now saying general things. And because of the nature of the sign, as outlined by Peirce, his philosophy can be applied to the chair and to the cosmos, to everything. Sign is very flexible. Sign is something which allows us to see the dynamics of the life as the life develops, not static, but dynamic. And this is the most important in Charles Peirce's philosophy. Of course, Charles Peirce brought many inventions, like, for example, semiotics. And I've heard Mustafa talking about the difference between Saussure and Charles Peirce. We will talk about this also later on. Now I'm talking just generally. Why to study Peirce? Why is it important? I mean, it's a huge university here. You're going around. You can go in and out and listen to any kind of subject. And suddenly somebody insisted, come on here and listen about Charles Peirce's philosophy. Why? Why Charles Peirce's philosophy? I'm giving you at least the one important reason. When we study Peirce's philosophy, this is the most contemporary, so to say, most embracing logic or thinking, the way we think. That is the main subject of Charles Peirce's philosophy. The main thing is about thinking. And I can compare this because I have produced a book which is about the metaphors. I can metaphorize this way. Imagine our bodies. This is the body. What is the most important in the body to stay like this, erect? The bone system, the skeleton. So we have the skeleton, the bone system, thinking. When we have this skeleton, these bones, we can imagine everything else. Flesh, heart, mind. That is what Charles Peirce is important about. He gives us the skeleton of how to think, the most important part of thought itself. Then again, all the important things in philosophy today, most of them happened around between 17th and 19th century, and that's it, for 2 centuries. Charles Peirce was one of the most important thinker in that period. However, he did not have the chance to have audience like I have audience. He was a great failure. He was born in aristocratic family. His father, Benjamin Peirce, was probably the most brilliant mathematician in America in 19th century. His name was Benjamin Peirce, and even today there is a theorem named after his name, Peirce's theorem in mathematics. But this was Benjamin Peirce, not Charles. So Charles Peirce was almost tortured by his father to study very, very hard when he was a small child. There are many legends about how his father tortured his son. Charles must get up very early in the morning, 5 o'clock, made some gymnastic, and then go and study 6 hours till 1 o'clock, eat, and then go to bed for a while, and then study again, since his 5th year. So father and son, they enjoy each other not by playing cards, by playing balls, by playing whatever, or by drawing something, but solving task, mathematical task. They were always doing something. Now, at the age of 12, when he was 12 years old, he has found a book in his brother's room, which is called The Elements of Logic by Bishop Whiteley. He read the whole book just for one night, and then he decided at the age of 12, logic will be my fate. I will study logic all my life. And he stand to this decision he made. So when I also have heard Mustafa mentioning the other two pragmatists, great pragmatism, William James and John Dewey. When John Dewey for the first time met Charles Peirce, it was it was not John Dewey. John Dewey met Charles Peirce. His memory goes like this: I saw a guy eating dinner in William James's house. Then we talked. He talked to me, actually we didn't talk, but he talked to me for an hour and a half. Didn't understand a word, except this was a genius. Charles Peirce, we can say now, is probably also the last genius of this epoch, the last genius. Now, what we have in our time we have artificial intellect. We can solve tasks for seconds, for no time almost. It looks to us like everything is changing from a minute to the minute. But what is beneath this? What is beneath this? Beneath this are the inventions of the 19th century. The cinematograph was invented then. The gramophone was invented then. The electronic was foreseen. What else? The gramophone. The telephone was invented also at that time. And what we have today, all these things assembled, put together, no invention anymore. Everything is already invented and assembled. They made it much more fast. The speed grows, everything grows, but the invention, the ground invention were made then. At around the end of 19th century. That's why if you want the grounds, what the grounds are, we need to go back. So as we will talk about all these subjects one after the other, I would like, because we have plenty of times, we have 5 days, and if you follow me, it will be exactly like Mustafa said. From the very beginning, you probably will not understand me very well, because English is important here, and I understand that you're not the semioticians, you're not the logicians, or none of us. Neither was I. My background was the same as Mustafa. I was in literary study. But then very fast after that, I decided that this is such a beautiful, fascinating subject that I completely changed. And this happened many, many years ago in Bloomington, Indiana, when I, for the first time, encountered Peirce's philosophy. I, up to a certain extent, already told you about this gilded age in which Charles Peirce lived. This is reconstruction after the Civil War, after the Civil War in the United States. They must to build fast to recover, and the capitalism was so-called wild capitalism. For example, at that time, as I mentioned, Thomas Edison invented the electric bulb. And this was also unfortunate for Charles Peirce, because he tried to invent also something, and he has invented the carbide lamp, carbide bulb. And he even took credits and bought a mine, carbide mine. He didn't know that, let's say, so on the next day, Edison will invent the bulb. So he failed. He got in bankruptcy. He lost everything. He tried many other things, and he always failed. The only thing which he did not fail was his thought. You may see here something which is not valid for our time, but the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. That was the time Charles Peirce lived through. And now, slow by slow, step by step, we start to approach the main subject. Excuse me, you don't need to do that, because I will leave everything to you. You can have it. No, you don't need it. You can have it. Does she understand? Yeah. You can have the whole thing. So don't bother making picture. So re-examining the categories. Today we will talk about Charles Peirce's categories. It's what is category? An idea of what category is. When I say category, what do you think of categories? Not Charles Peirce's, any category. Why do we need category? What is this? Classification is based on category. Good answer.
To think about anything.
To think about. Also, we need all answers. Don't be afraid. Say anything. you have heard the words many times. Did you think what exactly this is? Not exactly, approximately. What is category? Why the categories are so important?
Differences that we aware of it and we categorize them.
We categorize
We categorize the differences.
the difference, but what the category means. When we categorize, what are we doing? Similarities, differences, we categorize, we classify in categories. That is, all this is true. But what is, do you know, some of you may have studied Old Greek, like in Aristotle. Aristotle, for the first time, he used the word category. So it's Old Greek word, and meaning what?
Root of science. Category.
This is the function, but the meaning etymologically, etymologically of category in Greeks mean to talk about. We are talking about. This is the etymologically category, and we are talking about. And we should start by categories because we are talking about something which will be building up and up and up. So what is in the fundament of any building, of your house? What is in the fundament of your house? The wall which is in the earth, it should be the strongest, so that to keep the entire structure. This is the category. The categories is the most important and most simple things, which are able to apply to everything else, but they must be simple. They must be simple. On those simple, applicable things, we are building everything else. How do we build this? By classifications. You already said this, and this classification has another name, and it is abstraction. Abstraction. Thank you for liking my terrible handwriting, but I already, like all of us, we are not get used anymore to handwriting. We are pushing the keys, yes. So anyway, we are abstracting. The categories are the most abstracted things. If you start asking, for example, for somebody, I don't know him, but what is he? And then the person starts to say, he or she, he is 2 meters tall. He has blonde hair, black eyes. He has 2 hands, whatever. So these are the simplest things. But if you're going on ask and ask, according to Aristotle, you're going to reach the 10 categories. Aristotle's 10 categories. Here. You have in the first sentence all categories by Aristotle. Aristotle categories are 10. Substance, quantity, quality, relation, place, time, position, state, action, and passion. For example, as I said, a 5 tall man. He is 5 tall, not man, 5 tall. This is quantity. Man, substance. Man is substance. In Old Greek, substance means also God. Ousia is the word. Who was a thinker? Quality, thinker. He set this position on a bus. This is in a place, one morning time, and so on and so forth. So these are the basic moods, so-called the basic moduses or moods. You are going to reach if you ask questions about everything in the world. And these basic moods in Aristotle, they are categories. Again, categories to talk about. That's what he thinks. In other words, these are dialectic categories. We are communicating to each other. But anyhow, this has been invented like Aristotle lived 4th, 5th century before Christ, so many centuries before. But even before him, we have categories by Pythagoreans. Why is it coming? Sorry, here. Peirce's sources. When every philosopher decides to create his categories, he looks back who is the first. And here we have probably the first categories, the Pythagorean categories. And this is Peirce's manuscript, written by himself. But what did I do? I want to be back to just one frame. Can you do it? Just push on the. Just one frame. Oh, okay. Exactly. Thank you. And now fast. I couldn't do this so fast. Thank you very much. Here. Anyway, so I show you the Pythagorean categories, which are also 10. Pythagorean categories are very interesting. Everything from Pythagoreans, not from Pythagore himself, because we don't even know whether he existed. There is no eyewitnesses that he existed. The Pythagoreans invented a very complicated system of categories, and besides, this system was secret. They do not tell to everybody. So we decode, in a way, Pythagorean system. Like, for example, for them, all his categories are numerical, but they give different meaning to every number. For example, 1 means one person or monadic. 2 means relatives. We are relatives. Mustafa is relative to Tuna. 3 is relation. Mustafa relates to Tuna this or that way, and he's a friend to Ivan and he relates to him, and so on and so forth. For example, 4 is a chair, and the highest number, 10, means health. So these are Pythagoreans categories. Then we have Aristotelian categories, and we also have Kant's categories, which are 12. They're divided into 4 moods, 3. So you can see we have too many categories, 10, 12, 10 again. Then people are talking about basic things a lot. And there is Peirce. He said, we don't need so many categories. And he created just 3 categories. We are going to talk about the Peirce's categories. What is this? Time is flying. We are going to talk about the categories. He used only 3 categories. Of course, this system of him developed at the very beginning. As a young person, he didn't know how to embrace the movement, the changing in categories. So how to build, I will give another example. How to build the grounds that, sorry. Sorry, I'm just losing my voice. How to build the grounds which which are movable. Let's say they are suitable for Japan, where earthquakes are very often. People do not learn immediately. They they learn step by step. Yavaş yavaş. So he wants to see how to build his system of categories. And he realized that the first step towards this is to find very simple concept. And now we are reaching the term concept. We are going to talk about this, if I still have a voice, very, very soon. For now, can you please tell me, everybody have heard the name concept, the term concept. What do you understand when you hear concept? Conception. What do you understand when you hear conception? What is conception? Any idea? Do you use this word in? Do you have in Turkish a translation of conception? Okay. What do you understand under conception? What is conception?
Different words we use. Conception.
But when you say conception, what is your first idea we are talking about? What are we talking about? When we say conception is this and that, what is the conception of this university building, for example? What is the conception of the building?
Growing. Conception, growing.
Okay.
Word.
More.
Use the word nationality.
Hmm?
You always use the word in architecture.
Of course. And what do you mean by conception in architecture?
There are some ideas, and we are doing the ideas into together, and the ideas is creating a concept together. The context is available in this concept.
Very good. By the way, this is very good. It's not exactly, we need, when we talk about these terms, we need to find just one or maybe two, maybe three words which embrace everything. Similar by the categories. By conception, we mean something you already mentioned, the frame, the frame, the context, and the relation of this frame to something else. The conception we have is still the vague idea of what we need. Let's say you go together and you're discussing a conception of a new faculty of Balıkesir University. What will you take into account? The conception. First, do we really need a new faculty? What kind of faculty we need? These general questions, they are not categories. They are something which is relation to something else, and they make the frame, the general frame. This is conception. And we are going to talk about conceptions much more, about conceptions later. Up to now, we have learned what? That Charles Peirce is interesting philosopher. He lived in 19th century. So he's one of those great philosophers like Hegel, like Kant, like Descartes. He lived then. Why are we talking about Charles Peirce? Because he brought to light something which is today very important, namely semiotics, objective idealism, the theory of effete mind, which we are talking also a bit further. A lot of novelty in mathematics. Do you know the background of Charles Peirce? What was the background of Charles Peirce? The background, his education, he was a chemist. Why was he a chemist? Simply because in Harvard at that time, chemistry meant completely different than today. In chemistry, for example, they studied logic. And I told you a little before that we have to be very careful when we talk about these historical persons. We cannot talk like they are our contemporaries. We will lose the point. The point was that in the 19th century of so-called Gilded Age in the United States, in America, in the best university, Harvard, in Harvard, they study logic under the auspices of chemistry.
Positivism.
Similar
Positivism.
The positivism is a name of a philosophy, and it comes much, much later. But you may say positivism, yes. Positivist circle in Vienna is in 1934. But the things are positivists, yes. Chemist in chemistry, but he was a. Why am I mentioning this? Because Charles Peirce is philosopher, but he's the one who likes to prove every saying. He says something. He said there are 3 categories. We will see why, and then he must prove this, as if he is in laboratory, like in a chemical laboratory. He has to prove it. He meshes together 2 elements. He receives a 3rd one, but he has to show it to everybody. And showing is also something very substantial in the categories of Charles Peirce. Showing with the name of presenting, presentation. And Charles Peirce is one of those philosophers who were describing as presentationalists, because they do not simply draw pictures, diagrams, but the diagrams are instruments of their thinking. He is diagrammatic philosophers. That's another name of his philosophy, diagrammatic. He outlined at the end of his life and at the end of his career something important which he called the existential graphs. This is like calculating today, but via geometric lines. Come on. So that was his philosophy all about. It developed. The philosophy developed and was built on and built on and built on, and it grew. You and me, we will build on our knowledge. I know that at the very beginning, you will have some difficulties with my language to understand it. And Mustafa warned me to speak slower, but I'm not speaking fast. It just looks like I'm speaking fast. I try to speak slow. If I start to speak even slower, we need not 1 week, but 1 year to that I will tap anything like this. So believe me, I have taught my entire career any kind of audiences in any places in the world. Even by staying here and understanding 1/10, at the end of the course, you will have the essence of Charles Peirce's philosophy, and that's what it counts. I know that I'm talking now a lot of different other things, but this is also in order to educate your ears to my English. It is needed. And then you will understand. I mean, sooner or later you will start to understand. And I will make many times generalization like this one. What did we learn up to now? We already made this. So let's go a little bit further. Here is a definition of why we need categories from Oxford, from a book which came up just recent in 2024. We will have a more technical vocabulary for the properties, for everything like this. That is the reason we need the categories. The main outcome is the following: with fewer words to embrace bigger parts of the word. With fewer, 2-3 words, and we have described already. Why is this needed? Can we not proceed like now, like before? We talk to each other, we understand each other. Why do we need generalization? You probably know the Argentinian writer Borges. You know Borges. He described the following situation in one of his books. There was a young man, a young boy, let's say so, who once upon a time have fallen from his horse on the earth. As a result of this accident, he developed a strange ability. He was able to name each piece of grass, for example, not the grass as it is grass, but every single grass. He outlined everything as an individual happenings. Like, for example, he was mad at the people who called the dog at 3:25 with the same name, dog, or with the name, at 3:27. For him, these were different dogs, completely different, because he only sees individually. Now, this is the extreme, absurd situation in which Borges in this case suggested that we don't have categories, we don't have abstractions, we don't have general names. We should all the time. I should notice only this chair, but I should notice this chair, and I cannot say chair and understand all kinds of chairs. That is in the heart of the concept of categories. We need categories in order to generalize, in order to be able to produce thoughts. We have to think, and in order to think, we need generalization. A plus B could be, A could be 1, 2, 3, 13, 3000. B could be whatever. So this is in the ground, in the very ground of any categories. So we are for now to Aristotle, and a little bit before. Here is the manuscript of Charles Peirce. I made pictures at that time when I studied Peirce in the archives in the United States. We didn't have screenshots. So, and this is Kant's category, Immanuel Kant's category, and you see how many they are. I was talking up to now that they have to be just few, and Kant's are 12, Aristotle 10, Pythagoreans 10, and all other categories have another number. Now here, just to remind you, because everybody have studied Aristotle, what he understands under substance. The substance is a thing. This is a thing. I am a thing, and this is thing. And accidents are that this chair is, what kind of color is this? Green, blue, turquoise. Yes, very good. Whatever. So these are accidents, but we have one general thing, and then all the other qualities, which Aristotle called particulars, are accidents. That it is turquoise color, that it is folding up, and not like this. This is the general thing. Is the substance is the chair, and then other things are accidents. Stoic categories, also important. Stoic are almost one of the founders of the Charles Peirce's semiotics. Yes, this for the first time appeared a triad. Up to then, actually, even in Aristotle speaks about sign, but he speaks about the sign and what is behind the sign. There is no dock here in this room, but when I say dock, everybody understands what it is. Why? Because I just have produced a sign. By saying dock, orally, by my mouth, there is not a dog falling from my mouth, but there is dog which is in your consciousness, in your imagination, because you have seen dogs. So we understand each other. Although we have yesterday discussed this with somebody, it could be the dog in your head and the dog in my head could differ. But generally, as a category dog, we will understand each other because we share general knowledge about dog. Archetype is, yes, archetype is possible to be used here. Archetype was used not only by Sigmund Freud, but by him and by Jung, his follower, in order to to refer to the collective past. Collective past. In collective past, we may have some dreams, some thoughts, which are shared by a group of people, not just by one person. That is archetype. Peirce also is using archetype. So anyway, in Augustine the Blessed, the Saint Augustine of Hippo, for the first time was formulated the triadic law of the sign, aliquid stat pro aliquo in Latin, meaning something. That's good to be written. Are you bored already? Bored. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? I don't care. Aliquid stat pro aliquo. Something stays for something else. This is the first official definition of what the sign means. Aliquid stat pro aliquo. Something stays for something else. I mean, when I say a dog, or when I, not me, but Tuna draws a dog on this table, you will immediately understand what dog is. Not when I draw it, because you may say this is nothing, but when he do it, you will understand. This is a drawing of a dog, or if I show you a picture of a dog, this it would called iconic sign of dog, iconic. Or I can refer to the dog at your place, and you will immediately understand what I'm talking about. However, as I already told you, the dog in your heads and the dog in my head, in his head, in his head, in her head, will differ. I will later tell you why they will be differ in another seminar, but for now, this is enough. A liquid stat pro aliquo. And here comes Charles Peirce and adds something. To whom? The question which changes everything. This is a dog to whom? The dog for you, for me, for it, as I said, is different. So instead of in the terms of Saussure, signifier, signifié, signifier, signified in English, Charles Peirce adds something which is called interpretant. Another sign. Signifier, signified. Like, for example, can you give me a coin, please? A coin. Do you? You don't have a coin. That's bad. I caused the trouble. Nobody has a coin. No. Fine. Thank you. The best example for the sign of Saussure. Signifier, signified. Two things of one and the same thing. Two sides of one and the same. Signifier and signified make all together a coin. That is, thank you, that is Saussurean world. This is two planes world. Two planes. And in order to have a three-plane volume world, we need Charles Peirce, who would ask, to whom is this coin? To whom is this? To whom this makes sense? In this respect, the first philosopher who came across these triadic ideas are the Stoics. As you can see, they are talking about sign vehicle. Sign vehicle is the coin. It conveys the material, the material of the sign, the material. The material, and that's sign vehicle. The external object is the one who is interpreting, and lector or lecton or meaning, what we mean by saying coin. Later on, in another special seminar, we will talk about the three sign models of John Locke, the British philosopher John Locke, of Saussure, and of Charles Peirce. This is, as you can see today, this is just a general lecture, and it can go on endlessly. What and how Charles Peirce's category emerge? They emerge. How they emerge? How we start to understand? Imagine in a jungle somewhere, there is a tribe who doesn't know anything about the outside world. They walk in their jungle and they suddenly see a laptop, for example, or microphone. What are they going to do? What do you think they are going to do? They suddenly see under a tree, for example, a computer. What can you predict their reaction? and I will tell you what to think, how to think relatively properly about this. What are we doing by encounter something which is unknown to us, unknown thing, UFO, unidentified object. Oh, sorry. What is the first reaction? Imagine you're such a person in a jungle. You see a computer, never seen before, under a tree. What do you think? Just say. There is no proper answer to this. Don't expect me to say that is true. Hmm? What?
I will be shocked.
Shut?
Shocked.
I don't understand what you see. What you to say?
I say surprised.
Surprised.
Basically,
Good, surprised, but pleasantly surprised.
it looks unmeaningful.
Unmeaningful, and you just kick it to see. No, no,
No need to keep it.
because it's not civilized. But those people are uncivilized.
They start to pray.
What?
They start to pray.
Also, very good reaction. But if they are non-religious, most of these tribes in the jungle are non-religious. They have cults, but not gods. The first expected reaction is fear. Fear. There will be, there must be feared, like we are feared all the time that people from outside world will come to conquer the earth, and we are prepared like to shut them back, to do something stupid things, This is the first reaction of something which is unknown. But that was the trap. I said something which is like you see it under a tree. Under a tree, meaning that this object is not big, is not threatening you. Is not threatening. So you will start to think what this could be. And this operation we are doing all the time in our lives. Never mind, we know the chair, our kitchen, our garden. We do this all the time. And what are we doing? We are recognizing. It's a process of knowing. We start and try to see what it is. All the time we encounter something which we have to use or do, we recognize it. Most of the time, if it is very, very known to us, this is a routine work. Routine meaning what? We have developed a thought habit in our mind. We almost don't think. But for example, I was in another apartment these days, and I see a coffee maker. And I said, I have heard that using this French press coffee, I can be heard, whatever my skin could be damaged. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I started to figure out what to do. And what would be the first thing I am account? The function. What is this for? It is a coffee machine. So it could be so danger. It could be, it is not that danger. It has this and this quality. So it's old fashioned. And so slow by slow, we are piling up qualities after qualities after qualities. And finally, I did something useful thing. I made a coffee. I suggest that I don't know about what time you have planned, but I suggest that we approach the basic relations which Charles Peirce outlined and maybe stop here, but you decide.
You can stop now. After 2 hours ago, we stopped.
Yes, yes, okay, I know. So, but is it not too early or is it too late to stop now? Is it early?
No, we can go on for 10 minutes more.
What was planned? I don't know what was planned. What was the plan? What was planned?
Plan,
Öğleden sonra mı bırak?
afternoon.
No. Now for this session, how many time I have real for this session?
Your time finished.
Huh?
Finished.
Oh, okay.
It is enough.
12
It's enough.
Really?
You can go
I'm so bored, boring.
Today enough.
No. For this session.
Right? So we can go on for 10 minutes more.
But isn't it 11?
Yeah.
So 4 minutes, 14. Okay, anyway,
Öğleden sonra devam edeceğiz.
Hı?
Öğleden sonra devam edeceğiz. Saat 2'de başlayacak.
Afternoon time to.
yes. Yes, I know, but how about this?
10 minutes now.
That's it, thank you. You're not going running now, and for another 10 minutes you will not running. Okay.
10 minutes later, morning seminars finished.
Good. As you see, on the ground of different classification schemes of Aristotle, of Pythagorean, of Immanuel Kant, there are outlining moods or words or whatever else. And what is the new by Charles Peirce? The very new thing Charles Peirce brought was that he based his category on relation. Now, in my view, if you remember several things from these seminars, for example, the first one is relation, and then we will go to the number of Peirce's categories number 3, and then we go to say the main findings of Charles Peirce, which are not more than 10. You will done. If I said to my student usually, tell me what is most important by Charles Peirce, they say 3 categories. Okay, done. You passed. At least this. But relation is at the very beginning, because the relation is already, a relation establishes a dyadic relation. Dyadic, between the observer, me, and what we are observing. And when these things we are observing and we are relating to one another are 3, this is Charles Peirce's at the heart of his philosophy. Here, this is a very early outlining of his philosophy. He was 25 years old when he made this. You know, being and substance. Being is everything, universals. But something which is. Being is. Being. Everything could be is. This everything is substance. Substance like a human, a room, all these are substances. A chair, a table is substance. When we notice this this substance and we decide to define it, we make 3 main outlinings. First one is we notice what kind of quality it does have. Quality. quality. Like I saw the chair and I saw that the quality of this chair, the quality is that it is turquoise. And the quality relates to something which we know, which I'm going to talk in the afternoon session, to a ground. To ground. Ground is, I will not tell you now the ground. And then the third is exactly what I said, what it is in everybody's head, interpretant. Relation to an interpretant. In fact, anytime we make a picture of something, there are three processes in our heads. We relate quality, we relate the relation, our relation to this quality, and we relate what is the third thing, to an interpretant, to what is the quality in different heads. All this is also a process which goes from substance to being. A little bit more explanation. When I say, this is an explanation by Charles Peirce, and this is in his earliest years. When he says the stove is black, the stove, you know, stove is black. All the philosophers before Charles Peirce stopped to hear. This is a constant, this is something which is a saying. It is a judgment. The stove is black. That's it. What does Charles Peirce change? He said, there is blackness in this stove. Blackness, quality which moves in this stove anyway. And there is blackness in this stove, meaning we know by a process of knowing, by a process of recognition. Of course, it looks to us that we immediately know that this cherry is a turquoise. However, there are a process which is like a lightning fast in our heads, which goes on, and it says this cherry is turquoise. I know that I need some explanation, so I'm giving this explanation, and this will be the final. Whenever we think we are doing some operation of comparisons, that's why we will talk later on about the metaphors. As a very young child crawls around in the room, he or she doesn't know what the stove is, and that it could be damage his finger if he touches it. He doesn't know. He lacks of any experience. He has heard her mom saying many times, don't touch the stove, it's hot. But as Peirce says, nevertheless, he doesn't know what hot is. So he goes there and touches, and as Peirce describes, he says, by a terrible experience, he now learns that he or she, the baby, should not touch the stove because it is hot. This is the experience, and it goes as a process. Now, imagine the similar situation. This small baby, a very small baby, goes, crawls, and touches the table or the chair, and hears her mom saying, table, chair. And it is here. It is stamped in his head, chair or table. For the very first time. Now, 25 years, imagine that this child, which is now a grown-up person, talks to other people and they are mentioning chair or table. What is going on in their brains? In their brains is flowing a lightning fast operation of comparisons. They have seen 20, 30 million times chairs on tables, but the process of knowledge goes like this. They go back to this first time they have encountered chair, they have encountered table. As I said, in almost no time, like there is a lightning fast in the storm, almost in no time. But that's why the chair in our head, in my head, the chair in his head is different, because it's always a process of going back. It's going back by very, very many chain of comparisons. That's why, because of these comparisons, that's why the philosophy of Charles Peirce is called analytic and not synthetic. Synthetic is Immanuel Kant's philosophy. Peirce says, no, we know only by experience, by what we were experienced. And that's why we go back by comparison after comparison. Thank you very much for today. Thank you.